We're back, but Rabbi Yaakov, the conversation that people have been having of, Rabbi, this is all about talking in shul, is almost the same as like when a couple goes for marriage counseling, and then the husband says, this is just about like me taking out the garbage, right? And so that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about that. My wife doesn't like that I don't take out the garbage.
I wish it was that simple. If it was that simple, we could just fix it.
Right.
But it's ironically, it's it requires the relationship require a little more of a oomph.
Right. It's not about the speed of the davening, and it's not about taking out the garbage, and it's not about who the chazan is. It's about like, do you want to be here?
Yeah, I should just remember there was a beautiful thought our foreman shared about on Parshas Noach. He pointed out that Noach's name is Zeh Nachamenu Ma'asenu Mitzvah Yodeinu, and he points out that if you look at that pasuk, it has all the ingredients of the psukim, 5 psukim later, of the destruction of the earth. Right. That whole description is like almost word for word a reverse of the pasuk of Noach's name.
Right.
And you're like, so like the creation of Noach's arrival apparently almost precipitated the Mabul. So you're like, what's the deal with that? So he said like the following. He says, if you go back to that Rashi who says the reason his name is Noach is because he invented the plowshare, right? And during his generation, the plowshare was invented and it eased their relationship with the earth. He says what it is that when a person has a relationship problem, they solve with a technological solution.
Right.
You have HaKadosh Baruch Hu cursed the earth because you're supposed to try to come back to him. And instead of doing that, we say, God, we invented the plow. We got the technological advantage. It'll be all right. We don't have to suffer so much. That Hashem said that was the last straw. If you're trying to deal with little minutia, then you miss the picture. It's such a powerful perspective.
So I think it's also even pshat in that. Rashi's even saying a deeper pshat is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought Noach to the world with the capacity to introduce to the world this new technological innovation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was basically saying, look, we have a relationship problem. Maybe if you have a little bit extra time in your day, you'll be able to connect to me a little bit more. That's the great nechama. So now that you have a little bit more time, so now what's going to happen? So if that turns into we have a little bit more time, so now we can engage with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so gewaldig. Then Noach is mamish and nechama. And if he doesn't,
happened, right?
Say what?
And that didn't happen so much.
No. It's like I had this conversation with one of the guys that was down here, Ben Mezamen, that Lemaisa, what it comes down to is a lot of the time, like guys say, like I wish that I could spend my time learning something else, like finding a different limud and finding a different. I want to try something. I want to learn. I want to explore something. Okay, good. Now it's Ben Mezamen. What do you do with your time when you're off?
Hard question. Yeah.
Right. Like, what do you do with free time? So like Noach came to the world and introduced a little bit of free time. So like what's going to be? I remember one of our chaverim from Keren B'Yavne said that his grandmother had for her whole life she was spent like Yom and Valayla washing clothes, doing the laundry. And then there was a day that they finally, like whatever, the mid-50s, the middle of New York, like they bought a washing machine. It was like this. Now her whole day was not going to be about doing the laundry anymore. So the very first thing that she did was she took her children and said, "Come, let's go to the library."
Wow, that shows you the values, yeah, right?
Right. The question is like, what do you do when you have like a little bit of free time?
Yeah, I feel like there was some watershed events, like inventions that have kind of done that for us. Like I think Bluetooth was one of those.
Right.
It's like the fact that you can, like make a call in a car.
Right.
I mean, like that's like hours and hours of phone call time. So, like, what are you doing with all extra? And somehow it doesn't seem to have added up, right? It doesn't seem to have the limit washed things away.
Because it's a technological solution. I mean, now it can be used. It can be utilized, and that goes back to that conversation that the email that I shared with you. One of the guys that was like, this is all a problem of the phones. If it wasn't for the phones, people would be frummer. It's like, really?
No, I don't think so. It, but it doesn't create it.
Meaning, if you're looking to be distracted,
oh boy,
you're done for. Even if you're not looking to be distracted, it's very easy to be distracted. But Sach HaKol, if you don't want to be distracted, then the phone's not the problem. Like, unless you, yes, there's distractions. Yes, there's bright lights and shiny things and things that pop up all the time. Fine. But if you don't want to be distracted, if this is important, so then it's important. And if you're looking for it to not be important, well, then it's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, all that the phone's done is it's made being distracted easier. It didn't make people want to be distracted. That's a relationship problem.
Yeah, very true. A lot of avoida ahead of us. All of us personally.
Right, so let's see what Hareini Mezamen Rav Kook says. That's we spoke about Hareini Mezamen SP last time. This was already 3 weeks ago. We said that the mouth has two modalities. There's kodesh and chol, and we're being mekadesh. Now we're saying I'm turning the switch. I'm putting the chol on silent. That's Hareini Mezamen SP. All right, b'chavod, Rabbi Trump, lahodos lahalel.
Lahodos lahalel l'shabech es bari, to thank and to praise and to lahalel l'shabech. We have to see to give appreciation to my Creator. Hakoras hatov. There's hakoras hatova. She'adam mukaf b'yam shel hashvas hatova elyon. Such a beautiful description that the recognition of good in one's life, that one is surrounded by a sea of goodness.
This is like the fish that the two fish that the famous mice. Two fish are like swimming down the river, and they see an old fish swimming towards them. He goes, "Be careful! The water down there is very choppy." And one fish looks at the other fish and says, "What's water?"
That's true,
right?
That's exactly it.
That's the point.
It takes a moment to appreciate what one's in.
That we're in a yam shel hashvas hatov ha'elyon.
It's amazing, and we are all the time. Actually, I just saw derech agav, because we just passed b'shalach, that the Kli Yakar says that the reason why man is called man is because it's the two letters that you need your nose for, right? The M and the N, the nun and the mem are the two that if you close your nose, you can't really say them properly. When you got a cold, it doesn't work. So he says that's why Kosh Baruch Hu's in our lives is it's always there. You always experience him there until your nose gets blocked, and you're like, no, and then actually he isn't. The man was that reminder that Hashem is consistently in our lives. So it's like we're surrounded, but until we're really ready to recognize.
Right. It's everywhere. Everything is great. Everything is everything is there, and we have to look at it. I said over in Shabbos, there's this devastating medrash. The medrash says that Vayamru, the pasuk says in Tehillim, Vayamru al Yam b'Yamsuf. David HaMelech says that we rebelled against Hashem in Yamsuf. So the medrash Shabbos says that Reuben says to Shimon, he goes, Shimon, there was mud like this in Mitzrayim. And Shimon looks back at Reuben. This is how the medrash says. Reuben, Haya Omer Reuben Shimon. And Shimon looks back at Reuben and says, we had piles of bricks and mortar, and here we got piles of water. It's just the same. It's all the same. So, and then you have midrashim that say Ra Shivcha Layam Ashel Ra Yichazkel Mbuzi. And then you imagine Reuben and Shimon coming out of the yam and like hanging out with that Shivcha. She's like, "Oh my gosh, do you guys see that?" They're like, "No, there was mud." There were people that walked through Yam Suf and were looking at the mud on their boots.
Amazing, just amazing. Right? How was it in Orion? Air conditioning wasn't great.
Right. And that's we're not even talking about the people that mamish had a great ne'ilah and then we're elbowing their bubby on the way to get a bagel. Those people already have a milah, but there's people that mamish walk out of Yantav, they walk out of Shabbos, they walk out of having a child. It's just late sonus.
Just missed it, completely missed it.
And we don't realize that everything is amazing around us. We're swimming in a sea of Tov Elyon.
We're in the right place. We're in the right place. So v'nafshroi b'tchunasah adina machrichas oisoi shelo yihye kafui tova v'niv svasav yisparetz ba'abaz shel hakaras hatova lemetiv elyon baruch hu. At which point, it is the natural consequence that you have to burst forth in praise. If you realize, then the next step is obvious. So it's not about saying, folks, you need to thank God. It's like, no. You just need to see it. If you see it, if you have any conception of what's happening, you're going to automatically explode in song.
Right.
Because there's no other way around it. right? So it comes back to like a little bit of what we were talking about before, which is the problem is not in, we'll call it behavioral. It's cerebral, it's cognitive. Try to understand what's happening in your life, and then
Right.
automatically everything happens.
Cool.
That's the work. So zeu toichen ha'oda'ah. This is the content of our Thanksgiving. Va'atzmusa shel hafas hatova halo yesh bo or elyon. It includes in it. It is reflecting upon the lofty light. Behirus chayim v'havaya mele'ah ziv kodesh. This the clarity of life, which is expressed, which is full of the splendor of holiness. She'erech atzmusa hu ole amala mi'etzem ha'ana shel kabbalah satova. Which, wow, that actually its actual value, its inherent value, is more than actually the benefit we yield from it. It's not like we're monetizing this and saying that was a 7 on my pleasure scale. No. The fact that God is around you and He exists in a way that He wants and cares about you is more significant than anything you're going to feel because of that. That's just such a powerful statement.
It's the platform of your life.
Got it. The anchor. It's everything. Everything's on it.
Right. It's like, it's so nice we have air today. Like, okay, but if you didn't, nothing else would really make a difference.
not even that good coffee you really liked.
Right. Yeah. I didn't have, it was a little bit of a rough morning. It was great. Like, all the lights were green and traffic flowed smoothly and the weather's beautiful. The shtickle didn't have any air, so that was rough.
Lower down today.
Right. There's a basis, there's a platform, there's a surrounding of life that is taken for granted.
I just so powerful such a statement because we live in such an age where we love to like turn things into the utility, Right. It's like, God, okay, how much utility did I get from your experience, from you today? Like, can we quantify that? It's like beyond quantification. God deciding to be part of your picture is beyond anything you can quantify.
Right. It's Lamashal why nobody has yet monetized air. Right. It is like that's like, water we sell, right, in bottles, right, because you can go a minute without it. Like, but you can't charge people for air. Nobody can. Like, it's impossible.
Whimsical reference to Spaceballs, man.
There you go. But you can't do it. Like, it's an impossible thing. It's not like, oh, your credit card declined. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way.
Please call customer service if there's an issue.
Correct. Like that's what it is. Like, it doesn't. You can't do that with that which life is.
Amazing.
So yeah. So it's good. It's very beautiful.
So bishvil roshem or ze bo hahilel, because of the impression of this light comes the Thanksgiving. Shumigzeras yahel or, which is from what is the idea of Hallel? Such a beautiful idea. Is it's the idea of literally almost Yahel. I think it can be translated as, it's related to the word tent as well, is like ohel, or the idea of the shine, the radiance of the shine of it.
Right. It's the pasuk in Eov.
It's about, yeah. So ha'adam ha'ofa'ava ha'karas ha'chayim ha'yanim b'rumer kamba ifia mimochor ha'tova elui ha'niskav להאיר על האופק של המציאות מהמוגבלת שפעס נהורים רחבי ידיים וגדלי ערך להלל. להלל it comes from this, we'll call it recognition, where you really have to stretch your mind to appreciate the breadth and depth of this interaction of the lofty and the metaphysical with the physical.
It seems also to be, the way that he's describing it is that it's something that emanates from. Like, it radiates out from. It's not like a thing that just is. The Yahel or haraba foba kras hachaim brum erkom behotfi am micham tab iloi haniskav la ira some system so that generates this desire to be mehalel. That's I understand something intellectually, and therefore I emote about this, like as it expands out.
Beautiful.
That's like la halacha on Leil Seder. The chiyuv of Hallel on Leil Seder is a chiyuv of shir. The Ran writes. You have to sing it. You have to sing it, because if you don't sing it, then it's not an expression of feeling it. Like, it's got to burst forth.
That's so very beautiful. The Mefarshim over there in Eov, actually, it's in the 31st parak. They translate it as Yahel is to exude, to shine forth light as well, as we talked about. It's very, very interesting.
It's very different from saying Yotze saying Hallel.
Right, or do gratitude to Dari. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Put a check on the habit list. I felt grateful today. I mean, it's not to knock. There's an important malacha in that, but all of these things can become like very like routine.
Yeah.
In that, like, did you practice gratitude today? I don't know. Are you grateful? Like, that's different. It's different from like, did you practice gratitude?
Yeah, I kind of sometimes feel this, when you're like, you go to the restroom and you're in between meetings and there's like a lot of going on. You're rushing and you're like saying Asher Yotzar as you skipping 3 stairs and things like that. And you're like, I'll get to that some other time when things are calm. It's like, no. The reason you're alive is to be able to thank God that you're alive as well. I'm saying we're missing the point if we're just like not conceiving, just realizing what's going on every single moment that we're alive. It's working. Right. It worked. God, it worked. I'm telling you, it worked. So right. That's that realization is something which requires appreciation.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not a checkbox. It's a thank you. It's a real, like, this is a thing that is important to be cognizant of.
Yeah, to live with this is an avoida, a huge avoida.
Yeah.
Let's take it to its close. Hilul hazeh, this praise, on the human being and on all of civilization, to raise it, to praise it with this recognition, which brings up all the goodness that comes down from Hashem as the source of being. The Hadras Kodesh, Zeu Hashevach, Hashamitzyaches, the Ribun Kol Olamim, Betor Borei Kol, which relates to Hashem as the master universe, the creator of all Asher, Ha'adam Ba'al Yasoim, Ha'mi'ira Beziv, Shel Ha'ma'ala, Rehu Merakez B'soicha, Es Toichen Abriya Kola. Kola Elam Lo Nivra Ela Letzavois Lazeh. So interesting. So it sounds to me, and this is Koli's line, he says, so it sounds to me, what he's trying to do is he's contrasting the word Hallel and L'Shabeach. Hallel is sort of this vast awareness of stretching oneself to the awareness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere all the time. It's just so profound. It's the background of every single part of my life. But then the Shabeach sounds more like I personally am able to elevate myself to the realization that Hashem is specifically wants and does for me, not just all of life and everything else around me. I myself have this unique and specific relationship with the Ribbon Shalom. That seems to be the Shabeach as well, which is why it ends off with Shabeach es Bari, where it's more specific, it's more private. Is that where you took it?
I think so. Meaning, once we feel like this resonant frequency of the world being constantly rejuvenated and restored and rebuilt and plugged in. So like I feel that, and then I feel that around me, and then I feel that within me. And once I feel that within me, well, now it's not just about gratitude and this exuberant expression radiating wow, like the wow factor, the amazement. It's also, oh, and I'm in this, like I'm here.
Our space in this program,
right? Mir beziv shel mala. So that's mirakis b'soicha es toichen habriya kula. I now feel who writes like this? So the Chavz Levavos that writes that the tafkid of a human being is to recognize that they are created. Like, I'm a created entity. I'm a being. Like, I didn't invent myself. Right? Lo with an aleph and with a vav. Right? Like, all of this is not from me. I'm a created being. I'm part of this massive, expansive, beautiful world. And that requires not just amazement, but also l'shabech es bari. It's intensely personal. L'hodes v'lehalal, and then l'shabech es bari, to bring that very, very much home. We're like, wow, this is cool. I'm part of this. Like, that's beautiful. And that's his lashon actually miyached is kedushas peulas habriya elav beyichud. That the entirety of creation kind of resolves into me in this moment. Like the entirety, like the lashon of Gemara Brachos that he quotes, that kol ha'olam kula lo nivra ela letzavis lezeh, for this second right now, that I should be able to say, Ribono Shel Olam, I'm makir who you are, which is ultimately, Rashi writes, is the tafkid of all of the Bria. Is that, like, we make the world spin, right? B'terem Yitzmach, that, like, before anything exists, Rashi says, because mankind wasn't there to recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to give us rain and to say, Ribono Shel Olam, give us rain. Without that, there could be an entire world and nothing is operating until somebody presses the switch called, wow, I'm makir that there is a Barei Olam. I recognize there's Ribono Shel Olam. If there's a Ribono Shel Olam, so then cool. Now the world has purpose.
Imagine if we're able to do this every morning.
Right.
This is what it really is. When we say this phrase, Hareini Mezamen is pila hodos l'halel l'shavech es bari. That's it, man. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. It's an exceedingly profound expression of, like, the unity of all things. Is that, like, I feel the world resonating around me, and I feel it resonating within me, and I realize that there's a purpose to everything. And what that does is it makes me have this amazing wow factor for the universe. That's lahodis lahalal, and then to say, Ribono Shel Olam, you did this for me. Shabach is bari.
Yeah, it's very hard to walk out of that without an extra, like, jump in your skip, like, it's
right.
I realize that this matters. You matter. You're part of this.
Right.
It's a profound perspective.
And then L'chara we'll find out how this relates to the unity of the Ribono Shel Olam next time. L'shem yichu kudsha b'richu.
Right.
Which I'm excited to see how Rav Kook understands that.
It'll be amazing. I just think that somehow we say all these words every morning, and we're just trying to get to this realization. We're trying at some moment in Pesukism, can we get to this? Can we climb the ladder to this idea? That's what it sounds like the Hareini Mezamen is doing. So it may not be all the words, it may not be all the time, and it might be that we're still catching up. Let's try to get to that realization at least once before we hit Kriya Shema. That's the point.
Right. So for a moment to be like, wow, this is meaningful. This is real.
Breathe in, just feel it.
Right.
Amazing.
My dear student, holy friend.
Harav.
We'll see. Maybe next week. Maybe next week in Orlando, we'll see if we can do this live together. Who knows? We'll see.
Even better.
But otherwise, Hashem, we'll continue 2 weeks time.
Ezra Hashem.
See you there.
Real pleasure as always.
Amen. See you later.